Hello, everybody. John Boutet here, Buffalo Sports Museum. Welcome to another episode of Back in Time. And thank you to everybody who's been watching. The two previous episodes have been fantastic. Got some great feedback. Last week we had Chris Ramsey on, Dr. Jack Ramsey's son, and the immortal Eric Brady from Courier Express and USA Today fame. So we have an even better show, and I gotta tell you, I'm really excited about this because I have two really iconic Buffalo sports icons in history, and one I know extremely personally, and one I'm just meeting, but I know a lot about his story. So I want to welcome the original SabreTooth, Mike Kaminska, who works for the Buffalo Sabres. He runs a Sabre store. And he's got some great stories to share about SabreTooth. And I was told by Pete Weber to don't forget to ask him about the night Busty Hart came to the yard.
Oh my God.
Might not be able to go there.
we might have to edit that one a little bit, but welcome, Mike. Thanks for joining us.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
And also, what show would be, it wouldn't be a show without our great friend, Buster T. Bison, Frank Caleri, good dear friend. I've known Frankie for a long time and his family, especially his brother, Peter. Frank, welcome. Thanks again for joining us.
Caleri 2.0, proud to come on board.
That's right. That's right. Well, if you haven't guessed by now, we are discussing our topic for the show tonight is Buffalo mascots. And in particular, the two most famous Buffalo mascots in their history for the Sabres, SabreTooth, iconic mascot throughout the NHL and Buffalo history. And also for the Buffalo Bisons, you got to give it up for Buster T. Bison. So welcome both guys who played those characters, and we're going to have some fun tonight talking about their stories playing those parts. Frank, I got to start with you. You got to tell us the story, first of all. How did you get to play Buster Bison? Go ahead, share the story.
It was plain and simple. It was a dare. It was an absolute dare to go on the audition. Lifelong friend, kindergarten buddy, Jimmy Maz, iconic in West Seneca. He works for Ingram Micro now. I'm godfather to his youngest daughter. I was in his wedding. He was in my wedding. Him and his wife, Kathy, are still dear friends to this day. And we were looking through the Gusto, where we're going to go on a Friday and Saturday night in the weekend. That's what everybody did back in the day. You read the paper, right? There's none of this on the phone or anything. And there was an ad in the paper for a free tour of Pilot Field. So it sort of caught my eye. And I'm like, look at this. And looked at it, it's like what it was is you get a free tour of Pilot Field when you audition to be the mascot on Saturday morning. It was a Saturday in early March of 1988. Construction was going on. People were trying to figure out ways to get in the stadium at the corners of Elm, Swan, and Washington streets. And I saw the ad, and Jimmy and I ended up going somewhere out. I think we pulled an all-nighter, woke up. I can't remember if Jimmy even came in with me or blew me off inside, but I went in, I signed up, and there was only about a dozen of us that showed up, including the Canisius Golden Griffin and the Niagara Purple Eagle, and somebody drove in from Ohio to audition, and they had area media celebrities sitting in the third base side above the third base dugout. So they ushered all of us into the visiting clubhouse, and now I know that, was Robin Lenhard was in there and Marta was in there and some of the sales guys were in there. And, Pete Weber, John Murphy, Carol Jason, all three who I stay in touch with today were judges. Phil Ranallo was there, God rest his soul, Joe Overfield, Vince McNamara, Ed Kilgore, Bob Coop, the late great Bob Coop, Irv Weinstein, Rick Azar. I mean, it was a who's who of media celebrities because they wanted to get in to see the ballpark also. So I think we pulled straws, and I was like third last, second to last. And you go up, and Dave Perry had the soundboard down there, and they give you the costume from the rock pile, which is nothing more than a musty head and a jersey with a hula hoop built into the bottom. And and they ushered you down into the tunnel and they gave you the costume. They're like, okay, the music's going to come on. There's stairs to hop up on the dugout and just get the crowd going and do your thing. And I'm like, all right, still, I think to this day. And again, I think the statute of limitations have run out. I think I was sweating vodka, it was, a cold day on a Saturday, and hopped up on the dugout, and there was a problem with the sound. Probably one of the only times that Dave Perry ever had problem with sound in his life with anything. Emmy Award winner Dave Perry, by the way, 3-time Emmy Award winner with CBS Sports. And they played the song La Bamba. And I was like, oh my God, hate this song. Everybody hates this song. Still to this day, hate this song. So getting up there and I'm dancing and I'm clapping and stuff. And, I remembered the Bud at the rock pile doing the big shoe dance. Okay. And I remember from Pee Wee Herman, Pee Wee went on his toes. And there was something that I can do as a ha-ha, is like a bar trick at Mulligan's, walk on my toes. So I jumped up and I was walking on the dugout on my toes, and it just caught a couple people's eye. And, the audition ended, the music ended, and didn't hear anything for like 2 weeks. So I wrote a letter. To Robin Lenhard, and was working, I think, part-time at Wegmans also. And I had done a Mr. Peanut gig at Wegmans. I was pushing carts. Yeah. So I had a picture of myself dressed as Mr. Peanut. So I made a copy of it and I included it with the letter, sort of as a mascot resume. Yeah. And I badgered Robin and I got the job. But what's classic about it is the guy who was Buster the year before at the rock pile, they didn't officially tell him to come back to audition, and he wasn't getting the job. So I know his name, I'm not going to say his name, but they hired him, and he was supposed to do opening day at the ballpark. And when he was working in the concourse, John, you got to know this story. Yeah. And remember the things with the letters, they used to put the numbers and the goals and the assists, the iconic things from the odd that, you show the standings. The Bisons had those for their statistics in the standings. He was changing or putting some letters. He was working for the team, and he was going to be Buster on opening day. And they had told me, listen, we're going to leave you tickets, and you can't, you're not going to do first game. Brian's going to do first game. Sorry, I said his name. I'm not going to say his last name. And then you'll start Friday night bash. And I'm like, okay. Well, he electrocuted himself, almost knocked Mindy Rich over. They had to take him to the hospital. So if you ever watch video of Governor Cuomo and Jimmy Griffin and everybody out front doing the ribbon cutting, you'll hear a siren in the background. That's Buster being taken to the hospital because he got electrocuted. So they try to find me. They tried to find me in the stadium, and the seats that they left me were in 122, weren't crappy seats at all, okay? But I go to the ticket window to get my seats, and there's no tickets under Frank Caleri at the ticket office. Like, what gives? So they ended up giving me a pair of GAs that my father and I went to sit in a general mission. They left the tickets under Buster Bison, not Frank Caleri. So they ended up putting an intern in just for bringing the golf cart out. And if you see in the video, he had patent loafer shoes on. And that was the only appearance that Buster made on opening day was that. And my first night was the snow game on Friday night, which we all know what happened with the snow game. But that's how I got it. I pestered Robin and I got the job, and and they hired me, and it was great.
That's a great story. I've heard that before, but that needs to be shared with all Buffalo.
But the guy got electrocuted. How about that poor bastard? Right? Almost took out Mindy.
Really?
Yes.
Oh my God. Fantastic. And Mike, let's shoot it over to you. First of all, I'm not sure. Were you the original SabreTooth?
In my heart, he was.
In Frank's heart.
There was one guy before me, PJ. He did the first season in 1988-89. And I basically filled in for a couple appearances in March of 89. And then they needed someone to do the polio string cheese parrot at the Sabre game.
Yeah.
So I knew Steve Donner from the marketing department, and we were good friends. We played hockey together, and he goes, would you want to do that? And I go, yeah, I'll do it. It's fine. Yeah. And so I did it, and it was a lot of fun. And then started doing some of the SabreTooth appearances. And then that summer, Steve goes, would you be interested in taking over? And I'm like, yeah, this is great. I worked fast food restaurants, and we were closed in the winter, so it kind of worked out great. And I played hockey, and so I was skated with the equipment and the outfit on and stuff. And and just had a ball. And everybody thinks it's just doing the games, and like Frank and I were like best friends on the weekends. Like we'd be doing
The appearances
Saturdays and Sundays. And,
oh man,
driving from Niagara Falls to Orchard Park to Batavia to Rochester, and
yeah, opening car dealerships and stuff like that, right?
Yeah, 300 plus appearances a year, and then 40 home games, and then games in Rochester, games at the ballpark with the Bisons, and so it was pretty much a full-time job. And then we had our other jobs to take care of as well. So yeah, I started then 89-90 season, and went through to 1994, and just had a ball.
So you guys were basically at the same time, at the same era, the two of you.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That's pretty cool, because like you said, you did appearances together, you got to know each other pretty well. It's a pretty great story. Mike, I'm going to ask you now. I've heard the story of the birth of SabreTooth, how he was conceived. I know our great friend Paul Wieland was kind of given the task by the Knoxes to come up with a mascot, and he's generally regarded as the father of SabreTooth. And I know Bud Bailey had his hand in there as well, and they both kind of came up with the design, the costume, the name. Everything was done by those two guys. So that's pretty amazing that they could come up with something like that, and still in existence today. That's amazing.
Oh yeah, just like you said, the design, it was such a likable looking character, and just kids, granted your babies and stuff, some would smile, others would cry, and then but you would kind of get into that position, okay, take it easy, and then warm yourself up to someone. And but the big thing is it has to be friendly looking, and and I think they nailed it with that, and it just became such a lovable character. And like you said, it's still going on today, as is Buster. The pup.
And there he is right there. There's our SabreTooth right there, which is fantastic. I mean, it really is a great design.
We love our tooth. We love Tooth.
Everybody loves Tooth.
I even have one of my jerseys here.
Do you still have one?
Yeah, it's funny
with
thing.
With the arms and everything. That's fantastic.
It's a
look at that.
Great
Oh man, that is fantastic. You got to put that on a mannequin. Put that in your living room or something like that, Mike. I mean, that's like right, right, Frank. I mean,
at the arena, they kind of would you be interested in coming as SabreTooth? And I'm like, yeah. So I have the original outfit at home, and like I looked at it to put it on, and basically I put the head on. It looked like I just cleaned out a chimney, so I couldn't wear that. And then the body itself was so bad.
Yeah.
So I got the second outfit from Marty Denicky, who took over after me, and he said he had a head, but the head was all blown out of proportion, and the eyes were gone, and so I asked some of the other mascots that became SabreTooth, and ended up Seymour Knox had a head of SabreTooth at his house. And so he brought it into the arena, and, brings it right into the store. Oh, here you go. Here, take a look. God. I put it on, and it was still intact. So I was able to wear that. So I had that head, a body, and then I had this jersey. This was a jersey that we kind of refused because it had like the melted on stripes rather than the cut and sew. And
yeah,
but I kept the jersey. My wife was a school teacher, and she would let the kids wear the jersey without the paws on and the sleeve arms. And so I basically got someone to buy orange and black material, put the stripes on, put it together, and it was basically like 3 or 4 outfits in one. And came back, and my son, he lives in Florida now, never saw me as SabreTooth. He wasn't even born when I did it. So he flew back for the game with his fiance and future mother-in-law, and had like 12 family members at the game. And it was just such a difference. So like everybody with the cell phones now, with every foot you walk, there was someone else coming up with a cell phone picture. Like they didn't have cell phones when Frank and I did it.
No,
thank God.
Yeah, thank God. Just destroyed a lot of the evidence.
Yeah, it was just a great night. You see the guys again, the players that played back in that day, and getting together with them and pictures, and it was just figured 25 years since I was in the outfit, and to come back and do it again, it was amazing.
Yeah. I did it for the 25th anniversary for the Bisons also.
Yeah.
Which was great, going back and doing that. The only thing that I salvaged was the hat with the horns, which John has as part of our museum, part of our wonderful museum. So that's what I salvaged from the costume, and of course jerseys. And you know, I had some duplicate jerseys, and a couple I've passed off. John has one with some sleeves built in, and I have one that I have here that is framed with a picture, the iconic Time magazine picture that's autographed for a relative of mine in Michigan that I'm going to send to. It's been here. He was bragging about there it is, Gilles Perreault jersey and his Thurman Thomas jersey. And I said to him on Facebook, there's the sleeves, there to go. Those are the sewn-in ones or the Velcro ones?
These are sewn.
Beautiful. Good.
The back,
that's high quality right there.
Yeah, the back is Velcro.
Yep.
That's fantastic. That
was, you know what that costume was, John?
What's that?
That one right there. Okay, so we had that one made on purpose. DC Theatrics down on Main Street made our costumes and worked with me to make like the Friday Night Bash costumes and things like that. And that was a tearaway costume on purpose, okay, that I did some bit on the stage, on the dugout, that I had sleeves. I had a full fursuit, okay, that I wore at times, that I would have like costumes like German night. I'd have lederhosen on. It would be, you know, I don't want to say some of the names because now they're not politically correct and stuff, but, you know, Italian night, you know, there was Tony Buster and of course MC Buster that had the hammer, and the Rocky Horror Picture Show that, you know, we put the Frankenbuster head on top, but that was a tearaway one. And we had some of the Diamond Girls dancing on the dugout, and they were fighting over me, and they were pulling on the jersey, and the jersey was like a tearaway. So I'm standing there on Italian night, and they tore it away, and I had all these gold chains on the fur, right? And talk about kids crying. Kids are like, "Why, Buster? Why are you crying about Buster? That's Buster." And the kids are like, "No, we're not crying about Buster. We're crying that he's Italian."
That's great. Mike, do you remember who made the SabreTooth costume, the original? Who?
BJ Birdie, and the Toronto Blue Jay mascot, had his own mascot making company. And so we would go up there, and I have a funny story. Actually, usually got a new outfit every year. And the one year, he called that it was ready. A couple of times he shipped it, but he goes, "Could you pick it up?" So I'm like, "Oh, sure." But I'm like, "Okay, how am I going to get over the border with this?" So I came back over the Peace Bridge, and they said, "Do you have anything to declare?" And I go, "Well, yeah." I go, "I'm actually SabreTooth from Buffalo Sabres, and I just had to go pick up a new outfit. It's in the bag." And she goes, "Oh, you're going to have to come inside and speak to the supervisor." And so I'm like, "Oh no." So I get inside and meet with somebody, and they go, "Well, you got to talk to the next level up." And like, now I'm like getting nervous, and then go to that person. They go, "No, it's not even me. You got to go to someone else." And so I'm waiting in this office, and this guy comes in. He goes, "You're SabreTooth?" I'm like, "Yeah." He goes, "Oh my God, I saw you last week. You gave my son a hug, and he loves you, and you got a picture of you, and thank you so much. And you know, like, what's the problem? Why are you here?" I go, "I had to pick up a new outfit in Toronto, and like they made me come in and see you, the supervisor." "Oh, you're SabreTooth. You have no trouble, no issues here. You go ahead and go. You're all set." So I'm like, "Okay, thank you."
How many times, Ernie, have you had it? Like, I mean, again, you had yours in the bag, and you know, we didn't have, we had, like laundry bags that Ronnie Krause used to give us, the stuff, the thing in. But one time I was late for an appearance. So of course I had the baseball bags that, had the bats and the equipments in that I would pack. And I had a nice Bison's bag that they got for me. But I would put the head like in the back seat of the car. And then of course in the wintertime for appearances, I'd bring the whole costume in the house, and I'd put the head on the chair in my parents' living room. And of course, it would freak out, God rest his soul, my father. But, after a period of time, he would ask my mom to go take the head and turn it around because he felt it was staring at him sitting on the chair.
Yeah.
But some of those times with appearances and stuff on the weekend, you'd be doing one appearance after another and sneaking in, to try to change somewhere and fall into the cover. But, after Friday night games, sometimes you would, take in a local libation somewhere. And I had the costume in the back of my GMC Jimmy, truck that I had. And I was going on Delaware, and I was making a U by Channel 2 to go to the Shebeen, which we all remember the Shebeen, going to see Wayne Brooker and the Dwaynes and stuff. Well, I got rear-ended, and the car spun around, and the back window blew out, and we're exchanging information, and the police were there. And all of a sudden, the police officer looks around, and he's like, "What the hell is that?" And on Delaware Avenue, on the yellow line facing us towards the Shebeen, and cars are going by like this. Remember Friday Night Lights that the guys are laying on the road? It's like Buster's head was looking out of a manhole. Cars are going by like this, and it was about 50 yards down. And you think, we ran fast back in the day, Ernie. I'm running down Delaware because cars are going by, and the head is sitting perfectly right on the double yellow line. So I go to one of my buddies. I'm like, "Can you get that?" So he got it. He brought it into Shebeen. I walk into the Shebeen, and Wayne's got it behind the bar with the head on behind the bar, pouring drinks with the Buster head, laughing and taking the pop gun and like pretending he's crying, through the eyes, like up underneath. That was an ugly night because I couldn't get it from him.
Yeah, I can imagine the people driving by going, "Oh my God, it's Buster's
what the heck
dead.
Is that? What was that?
Buster's dead." Yeah.
But imagine going into the Shebeen and you see Buster tending bar.
Yeah, right, right.
With SabreTooth, like you said, it was in a bag, and it's basically when you went on an appearance, you had to have a changing room, and someone usually watch your stuff for you in that. But yeah, it's like for a game, I had 3 jerseys. I wore a different jersey every period, and just with the sweat and everything being in, with the temperature.
That was going to be my next question. That had to be extremely hot. I mean, Frankie, especially for you, it's July and August in Buffalo, and it's got to be, really starting to get ripe in there. Yeah. I mean, did you have only one costume at the time? Did you have several different to change into? And what's the protocol with all that?
Well,
what do you do?
For me, I mean, again, I was wearing Chuck Taylors that I introduced to the costume on day one, the red Chuck Taylors, because I wanted something sort of iconic. And I had the baseball socks and the stirrups, and I had the baseball pants. And the original costume, there was padding, in the hips. So if you look in the early videos, even the the National League expansion video that we had, the hype video for that, the footage was from the early days with the stadium, just jammed. Yeah. And the year 2, I got rid of the padding because I didn't need it. And I wore just regular baseball pants and a regular jersey with the fur sleeves and the suit. But year 1, 88, I mean, 22 pounds, working 100, lost 22 pounds that first year, which was great. Yeah. Running the stairs, it was a nice workout. Yeah. Wish I was running the stairs today there, but right. I'll tell you what, those, I mean, Ernie, back in the odd, you go up in the orange, you're taking your life in your hands. Oh yeah. Going the stairs in the orange. Yeah. And SabreTooth's feet, were not size 11s like my Chuck Taylors. I mean, it's crazy.
The nice thing with your the odd, the stairs were all the same size except for down in the lower golds. But like sometimes you'd go to different arenas, like even Rochester, and where it's one big step and a smaller step, big step, smaller step. And you're trying to get that because you can't look down at the stairs. You're just kind of going. And like I spilled in the oranges a few times, and just even if you hit something wet and slide and then boom, 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 all the way down the stairs on your butt, everybody thinks it's like the greatest thing that you planned that. It's like, no, I didn't plan that.
Yeah.
So, I fell off the dugout. I fell off the dugout twice. Once at Pilot Field when it was Pilot Field, and once I was working a game in Wichita. Bob and Mindy Rich owned a AA team, which was our AAA team, which was then a AA team, and people thought it was the funniest thing. It wasn't choreographed or anything. Luckily at Pilot Field, I fell off on the dirt side, and I took out the photo guy on the side. Yeah, the late Joe Traver. I knocked him over, which is not an easy task. But Wichita was nasty. Was nasty when I fell off the dugout there.
Really? Yeah. I mean, that's dangerous too, because I mean, you really hurt yourself. People don't even know you're hurt. You're just
Ernie, tell about the kids that are 3 feet tall with their swings. Tell you what, we're right at that height when they're swinging, John. Yeah. You're getting it.
You're not looking down there either. You're
no cop. They're laughing.
Yeah. Yeah, they forget. They don't know that there's a real person in there with, so I get it. I'm a phys ed teacher, elementary phys ed. So it happens to me a lot. I can imagine.
Ernie gate giveaway. Did they ever have a mini stick night at the Odd?
Not mini sticks, but
Try and work a school days at Pilot Field when they give away mini bats.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that's a genius. Talk about me going into the marketing office. Who's the genius that gave away mini bats on school days? All these kids have weapons.
Yeah. I remember too, like say going around in the odd, it was a great building to work in, but you had all those rails coming out of the entrances and exits. I used to grab a rail and like pull myself up onto the stairs and come flying up and around. And I don't know how many times I like smashed somebody's beer off that sitting on the ledge right into their
popcorn, back of popcorn over.
Yeah, you probably got yelled at a few times too. But
I had one guy that was furious with me. He's like, "Get away from me! Don't ever come in my section again, and get out of here!" And so it's funny. I saw him in a bar after one of the games, and
really,
I like went up to him and I said, "Hey, I just want to let you know that I'm SabreTooth." And I go, "Why are you always so rude to me?" And he just like, it's nothing really. You spilled my beer one game, and I go, "Oh, I'm sorry." I go, "You really can't see." And so we ended up become pretty good friends over the years. And I would always go to his section then just to aggravate him, and he ended up loving it. So
it's great.
Get your favorites in the seats and going all around different sections, and people. It was part of the fun.
Yeah, I can imagine. I want to. I have to read a little of this about Buster Bison. I mean, I think Frank, you'll get a kick out of this. I don't know if I've ever shared this with you before, but Buster Bison was first introduced. Hold on here. We got to get going. There we go. Okay. Was first introduced for the Bisons in 1965 on a program. And he was not a real mascot. It was just a piece of art. And then it kind of went away. And then all of a sudden in 1983, Bob Rich buys the Bisons. And one of the first things he wants to do is create a mascot. So he hires this cartoonist, this artist in Buffalo, actually Orchard Park, and his name's Bob Bindig. And he draws the conceptual art for the original Buster Bison. And his grandson, Bob has passed away, but his grandson came to me a couple of years ago at the ballpark, and he has all his original drawings of Buster Bison, and he wanted us to have them. So he donated these to us. And this is the original. That's the original drawing,
wow.
Very first drawing of Buster Bison. So I thought this is fantastic. And each one, he adds a little bit more. There's the hat.
Yeah.
And he finally gets it to this. And the only thing you can see with the baseball pants, the only thing that Bob Rich required, he said, you got to put pants on this guy. He has to have pants. So he put pants on him, and that's how he started to wear baseball pants with a uniform. So he gave us all these drawings, and I think this is just phenomenal. I mean, this is amazing that he did this. But and he was paid $500 to do that. So that's kind of cool to see. Here's his timesheet that he submitted. He gave us everything.
Wow,
which is amazing. But here's his check for $500 payable to him for coming
Rich
up
Products Corporation. Yep.
With Buster Bison. Yeah, isn't that amazing? I thought that was kind of cool. And thank you to the Bindig family who saved all his paperwork. I thought that was really neat. I'm curious. You think Wieland and Bud Bailey did that, or they just said,
I don't know.
Yeah.
It's such a natural. I mean, a saber-toothed tiger. I mean, it's perfect. It's absolutely perfect.
It really.
I mean, we got rid of the tail at Pilot Field, thank God. Notice there's a tail in the logo, but Buster never had a tail at Pilot Field.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah, you couldn't. I mean, the kids would be pulling on it all the time. Yeah. So I want to go back to Mike on this one now. Can you give us a clean version of the Busty Heart story for Pete Weber? He knows it. He wants it on tape.
Well, I was on the other end of the building, and somebody came up to me and said, this lady wants a picture of you. She owns a sports bar. She's in the first row of the upper golds, go into the lower golds and climb up. And so I'm like, okay. And so I did that. And And next thing I know, the crowd is just going crazy. And like, you can't really, you could see a little what's going on, but you don't know what's all happening. So I just heard the reaction of the crowd and just kind of like came down and walked away and, thought nothing of it, continued on. And then, next day got a call to come in the office, and I go, well, what's up? And I go, well, we got to talk to you about last night. I go, well, what about last night? And so basically, I explained what happened, and they go, well, no, you didn't see from the other end of the arena and you walked over there. I go, well, you put the hat on at the one end of the arena and look to the other end and see if you could see something. And I go, no, I go, that's what happened. And, I went and took the picture supposedly she owned a sports bar, and walked away. And then they said, okay, well, okay, we're not going to let you go, but you got to be careful and this and that. And so I'm like, all right, well, thank you. And I will be careful in the future. And so, but yeah, like I said, just never even thought twice that I did anything wrong. And, it just, more I saw some pictures afterwards, and I go, oh boy, yeah, it doesn't look good. So, but.
Man, there's got to be so many great stories, with you guys. And then the guys that, came after you guys too. There's a fantastic stories with them. We had his name escapes me now. About 10 years ago, we had whoever was playing SabreTooth at the time came to our elementary school. We had him come in, and the kid walks in. He was young. He was only probably early 20s, and he's got the hockey bag. And I go, SabreTooth? And he goes, yeah, I'm SabreTooth. Turned out to be a great guy, and he's still with the organization. I just can't remember what his name is.
Ed. Ed was in.
Ed, yeah. Ed, what a nice kid, and he did a fantastic job as SabreTooth.
He does a lot of hockey now, and so.
Yeah, what a great. The kids just loved him. They thought he was, the greatest thing in the world.
Yeah, we used to do a school program through the Erie County Sheriff's Department, and Irv Dean was the sheriff, and we would do like
God rest his soul, Irv Dean.
Oh, yeah, heard he passed, but public safety. He had such a loud voice, and I would come with him. He'd actually pick me up and bring me to a lot of these appearances, and I would be behind stage, and most of the schools have like a piano or something, and I would just start wailing on the piano, and he would, what's going on? Who is that? And then no one would say anything, and then I would start up again, and he would get mad again. Someone open that curtain. So like they would open the curtain, then I would pop out, and then his like stern voice just became the nicest teacher. And with me, couldn't say anything, but we worked so well together on this safety program. Right. And the kids, the teachers, that they loved it. And rest his soul, like he lived for that, and he did such a great job. And a lot of times if a player was injured, players would come out too. And I remember LaFontaine, when he broke his jaw, came out on a lot of the appearances with us. And just like I say, great job, great for the kids, great for the schools, and great for the organization.
That's fantastic, and that's really what it's all about, isn't it? It's fun to just be goofy and have fun at the games, but when you can really give back to the community, I think that's what mascots do. They really do give back to the community. Frank, I want to go back to you for a minute. Many people that come into the Hall of Fame at the ballpark, they ask me one question: what does the T stand for? Buster T. Bison. Just tell us a quick story about how T came into the equation.
Well, the autograph, I mean, you got the big B, make the big B, and then Buster off it, Buster, and then Bison, I-S-O-N, so you use the B for both, front and back. Yep. And then T stands for the Buster the Bison.
And who came up with that? Who came up with T?
I think that was something that came. I think that came out of the rock pile. I really do.
You don't know this? Peter Caleri.
I don't want to take credit for it, but I think it's in the family somewhere.
Peter Caleri came up with the T. They said he's got to have a middle initial, and Pete said, "Well, the Peter Buster the Bison." Right. Okay, and it stuck.
That works. That works.
Yeah, that's great.
Ernie, any engagement with? I mean, it's tough players playing during games, but I mean, I would be on the field engaging with players and umpires.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my God, I've got a few umpire stories that umpires are in the major leagues now, which is pretty funny of doing stuff with them on the field. But you said going out on things with players and Pat LaFontaine. I mean, any good player stories that you have, that are, going out doing appearances and things that are memorable to you?
Yeah, we did a few things. I remember one year kicking off the season when Mike Foligno was the captain. He came up to me and he goes, in case you're wondering, Ernie's a nickname. Frank keeps calling me Ernie, but I have Ernie my whole life. But Mike came up to me and goes, hey, listen, we're having a kick off the year party at my house next Saturday, and I want you to come. And he goes, well, I go, really? I go, well, yeah, thanks. He goes, yeah, you're part of the team. We want you there. And because I got a really good relationship with a lot of the guys, because just in the odd, we were together all the time, and working there, I ran the merchandise, and so they were always coming down in the basement where our stockroom was to get souvenirs and that, and then seeing them out on different things. And I remember another time I was with Christian Rutu out in Olean at some appearance. He actually got dropped off there, and he's like, hey, could you drive me home? I'm like, yeah. So I drove him back to Buffalo and talked a while. And, the hockey players are really down to earth, great guys. Larry Playfair, nicest guy in the world. He's there every day with the 50-50 now. And he would just stop